Have you ever felt a deep ache in your heart? A pain that lingers long after the moment has passed? Perhaps someone's words cut through you like a blade, or an event from the past still haunts your thoughts. You carry it with you, day after day, as if it has become a part of who you are. But what if I told you that healing is possible? That you do not have to live bound to the pain of the past, that you can let go and step into a place of peace, lightness, and freedom. It may sound impossible, but the truth is, the weight you carry is not as permanent as it seems. Imagine for a moment that you are walking through a crowded street. A stranger suddenly throws an insult your way, completely unprovoked. The words sting, and for a brief moment, anger, frustration, and sadness flood your mind. It feels unfair, unnecessary, and unkind. But what happens next? Do you hold on to those words for the rest of the day, allowing them to shape your mood, your thoughts, and your interactions? Or do you recognize them for what they are? Just sounds in the air, nothing more, nothing less. Pain, in all its forms, is inevitable. But suffering? Suffering is optional. There is an ancient wisdom, a way of seeing the world that allows us to navigate hurt without carrying the burden of anger, resentment, or frustration. This wisdom does not ask you to suppress your emotions or pretend that pain does not exist. Instead, it invites you to understand pain, to face it with clarity, and to move beyond it with wisdom. Buddhism teaches that suffering does not arise from the things that happen to us, but from our attachment to them. When we resist pain, when we refuse to let go of the past, we unknowingly deepen our wounds. The key to healing is not in fighting pain, but in transforming the way we see it. It is about learning to release, to detach, and to understand that nothing, no feeling, no moment, no hardship is permanent. But how do we let go? How do we move past the things that hurt us when they feel so real, so powerful, so deeply embedded in our minds? The answer lies in understanding the nature of suffering itself. Imagine trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you open your palms, allowing the water to simply rest there, it remains. This is how pain works. The more we resist it, the more it controls us. The more we accept it, allow it to flow through us, the more it loses its power over us. In Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths form the foundation of understanding suffering and how to transcend it. These truths are not abstract philosophies. They are practical insights that, when understood, can completely transform the way you experience life. The first truth is simple. Suffering exists. No one is exempt from it. Life is filled with challenges, losses, disappointments, and hardships. No matter who you are, no matter how much you try to control your circumstances, suffering is a part of the human experience. But acknowledging this truth is not meant to bring despair. It is meant to bring clarity. It allows us to stop fighting against reality, to stop expecting life to be without struggle, and instead, to focus on how we can respond to it. The second truth explains why suffering arises. It comes from our attachments, our cravings, our endless desires for things to be a certain way. We want love. We want recognition. We want success. We want life to unfold according to our expectations. But life does not operate on our terms. And when reality does not match our desires, suffering is born. Think about a time when someone hurt you deeply. Perhaps they betrayed your trust, ignored you when you needed them, or failed to give you the love and respect you longed for. The pain you felt was not just because of what they did. It was because you wanted something from them that they did not give. You wanted loyalty, appreciation, understanding. And when those expectations were not met, suffering took root. But here is where the wisdom of Buddhism offers something revolutionary. Suffering is not inevitable. The third noble truth states that if suffering arises from attachment, then freedom from suffering comes from letting go. It is not about becoming indifferent or emotionless. It is about recognizing that clinging to pain only prolongs it. The moment you release your grip, you create space for healing, for peace, for something new to take its place. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents a grievance, a resentment, a painful memory you refuse to put down. The longer you carry the backpack, the more it weighs on you, the more exhausted you become. But what happens the moment you choose to set it down? The weight disappears. Your body feels lighter, freer. The journey becomes easier. This is what letting go does. It does not erase the past, but it releases you from the burden of carrying it. The fourth noble truth is the path to the end of suffering. It is not just about knowing that letting go is possible. It is about learning how to do it. Buddhism offers a practical guide, a way to cultivate peace within yourself regardless of what happens around you. This path is known as the Noble Eightfold Path, a series of principles that help you shift your perspective, align your actions with wisdom, and train your mind to respond to life with clarity and calmness. This path includes the way we think, the way we speak, the way we act, and the way we train our minds. It encourages us to develop mindfulness, to practice compassion, to be conscious of the way we speak and the impact of our actions. It is not a rigid set of rules, but a guide to living in a way that reduces suffering, not just for ourselves, but for those around us. Think about how different life would feel if, instead of reacting to hurt with anger, you responded with understanding. If, instead of carrying pain, you released it. If, instead of allowing the past to define you, you allowed yourself to be free. True healing begins not when we change the world, but when we change the way we see it. Pain will come and go. People will disappoint you. Life will not always unfold the way you expect. But none of these things have the power to control you, unless you give them that power. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? What pain, what resentment, what disappointment is keeping you from peace? And what would happen if just for a moment you allowed yourself to let it go? The path to healing is not about finding all the answers. It is not about waiting for closure or for the world to change. It is about learning to accept, to release, to surrender to the flow of life without resistance. And in doing so, discovering that peace was never something you had to search for. It was always within you, waiting for you to let go. There comes a time when you must ask yourself, how much of your suffering is created by your own mind? How much of your pain comes not from the events themselves, but from the way you hold on to them, replaying them over and over as if doing so will change the past? The truth is, suffering does not come from life itself, but from our refusal to let go, from the way we grip tightly to things that were never meant to stay. But what if you loosened your grip? What if, instead of resisting pain, you allowed yourself to move through it and beyond it? The mind has a way of convincing you that the more you think about something, the closer you will get to understanding it. That if you replay a painful memory enough times, you will find a different ending. But what has this overthinking ever given you? Has it brought you peace, or has it only deepened your suffering? thoughts, when left unchecked, become chains that bind you to a past that no longer exists. They trap you in a cycle of self-inflicted pain, making you relive moments that should have already faded. Imagine carrying a burning coal in your hand, holding onto it tightly, believing that doing so will somehow punish the person who wronged you. But the only one who feels the pain is you. The longer you hold on, the more it burns, the deeper it scars. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means choosing your own peace over unnecessary suffering. It means recognizing that the past cannot be changed, but your relationship to it can. Buddhism teaches that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Pain happens in the moment, but suffering lingers because of the stories we attach to that pain. A moment of heartbreak, a betrayal, a failure. These things happen once, but the suffering continues because we refuse to release them. We feed the pain with our thoughts, our attachments, our refusal to accept what is. Think about a river flowing naturally toward the ocean. It does not resist the rocks in its path. It does not try to flow backward. It simply moves, adapting, finding a way forward. But imagine if the river suddenly tried to hold on to every rock, clinging to the past, refusing to move. It would no longer be a river. It would be stagnant, lifeless. This is what happens when we hold on to things that are meant to pass. We stop flowing. We stop growing. We become stuck in pain that was never meant to define us. The path to peace is not found in holding on, but in learning how to let go. But how do we let go when the pain feels so real, when the past feels so deeply embedded in us? The answer is not to suppress it, not to pretend it does not exist, but to see it clearly for what it is, a passing moment, not a permanent state. Imagine watching the clouds drift across the sky. Some are light and fluffy, others dark and heavy with rain. But no matter how big or small, they all pass. They do not stay forever. Your emotions, your pain, your suffering are clouds in the sky of your mind. They may seem overwhelming now, but they, too, will pass if you allow them to. The problem is, most people do not allow them to. They grab onto the clouds, holding them in place, refusing to let them drift away. The reason we hold on to pain is because we mistake it for a part of our identity. We believe that if we let go of a past hurt, we are letting go of a part of ourselves. But who were you before the pain? Who were you before you allowed suffering to shape your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions? Letting go does not mean erasing the past. It means freeing yourself from the idea that you are still bound to it. Detachment is not about avoiding life. It is about engaging with life fully, but without the need to control it. It is about loving without clinging, experiencing without fearing loss, moving forward without being weighed down by what was. It is the realization that nothing in this world is permanent. People change, situations evolve, and the more we accept this truth, the freer we become. Ask yourself, how many times have you suffered not because of what happened, but because of your resistance to it? Because of your unwillingness to accept that things unfolded the way they did? The mind tells you that if you resist something hard enough, it will change. But has this ever been true? Has resistance ever led to peace? Imagine standing in the ocean, trying to stop the waves from reaching you. You push against them, but no matter how hard you try, the waves keep coming. The ocean does not care about your resistance. It moves as it always has. But the moment you stop fighting, the moment you allow the waves to come and go, you realize that they were never a threat. The suffering was not in the waves themselves, but in your resistance to them. Letting go does not mean you stop feeling. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop tying your peace to things that are outside of your control. It means you stop replaying conversations that have already ended. Stop searching for closure in places that will never give it to you. Stop waiting for an apology that may never come. It means you take back your power, realizing that your healing is not dependent on anyone else. It is something only you can give yourself. Think about a time when you were truly free, when you were not weighed down by worries, regrets, or expectations. Was it when you were analyzing every detail of your past? Or was it when you simply allowed yourself to be, without resistance, without attachment? Peace does not come from control. It comes from surrender. It comes from realizing that you do not need to hold on to everything to feel whole. There is a reason why Buddhist monks practice detachment. It is not because they do not care. It is because they understand that attachment leads to suffering. The more you cling, the more you suffer. But the moment you loosen your grip, the moment you allow things to be as they are, you realize that peace was always within you. It was never outside, never in another person, never in a perfect outcome. It was always here, waiting for you to stop searching, stop chasing, stop resisting. So ask yourself, what are you still holding on to? What pain, what memory, what regret is keeping you from fully experiencing life? And if you had the courage to release it, to trust, to surrender, how much lighter would you feel? You were never meant to carry everything. You were never meant to be weighed down by thoughts that do nothing but steal your peace. You were meant to be free, to flow with life instead of against it, to embrace each moment as it comes instead of clinging to what has already passed. Take a deep breath. Allow yourself to release the weight. Stop gripping so tightly to things that were never meant to stay. Trust that life will unfold exactly as it is meant to, whether you hold on or not. And in that trust, you will find the peace that has been waiting for you all along. There comes a moment when you realize that holding on is no longer serving you. That no matter how much you replay the past, no matter how many times you dissect every word, every action, every moment, you cannot change what has already happened. And yet, the mind clings. It holds on to pain like an old friend, believing that if it just holds on a little longer, the past will somehow rewrite itself. But the truth is, the more you hold on, the more you suffer. The more you resist what has already passed, the more you trap yourself in a prison of your own making. Imagine a bird that refuses to fly because it is afraid of losing the branch it is perched on. It clings tightly, convinced that if it lets go, it will fall. But the bird has wings. It was never meant to stay in one place. It was meant to soar. And yet, how many of us live like that bird, clinging to things that were never meant to last, afraid to let go, forgetting that we too have the ability to move forward, to rise, to be free. The mind convinces you that letting go is impossible, that if you stop thinking about something, it means you do not care, that if you release the past, it means it did not matter. But letting go is not forgetting. It is not erasing. It is simply choosing peace over suffering. It is deciding that your well-being is more important than holding on to something that can no longer be changed. Think about a glass of water. If you hold it for a few seconds, it feels light. If you hold it for an hour, it starts to feel heavy. If you hold it all day, your arm begins to ache. The weight of the glass has not changed, but your burden has. This is what happens when you hold on to pain, onto regrets, onto things that were meant to pass. The longer you carry them, the heavier they become. The only way to find relief is to set them down. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from attachment, the need to control, the desire for things to be a certain way, the refusal to accept what is. The more you cling to an outcome, to a person, to an expectation, the more pain you create for yourself. But the moment you release your grip, the moment you allow things to be as they are, you find something unexpected: freedom. Imagine standing at the edge of a river, watching the water flow. You see a leaf drifting past, carried effortlessly by the current. You have two choices. You can reach for the leaf, try to hold on to it, fight against the current, only to watch it slip through your fingers. Or you can simply watch, allowing it to move as it was meant to, trusting that the river knows where it is going. This is how life works. People will come and go. Situations will change. The future will unfold in ways you cannot predict. You can either resist, trying to force things to be the way you want, or you can trust, surrender, allow. And in that surrender, you will find a peace that overthinking will never give you. But letting go is not easy. The mind is stubborn. It wants control. It wants certainty. It wants to know what will happen next. But life does not offer guarantees. It does not provide absolute certainty. And the more you chase it, the more it eludes you. The only way to truly find peace is to accept uncertainty, to embrace the unknown, to trust that whatever comes, you will handle it. Think about the last time you were deeply happy. Was it when you were controlling everything, planning every detail, obsessing over every possibility? Or was it when you were simply present, fully immersed in the moment, without worrying about what came next? Happiness is not found in control. It is found in surrender. The reason people suffer is not because of what happens to them, but because of the meaning they attach to it. Two people can experience the same event. One moves on. The other suffers for years. The event was the same, but their response was different. And this is proof that suffering is not in the event itself, but in the mind. Imagine you are holding a rope that is tied to a burning log. The fire is spreading, and the longer you hold on, the closer it gets to you. The only way to avoid being burned is to let go. And yet, so many people hold on to their pain, their anger, their disappointments, believing that if they just hold on long enough, something will change. But nothing changes. The fire keeps spreading, and the only way to be free is to release the rope. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you do not love. It means you love without possession, without clinging, without fear. It means you trust that what is meant to stay will stay, and what is meant to leave will leave. It means you understand that nothing is truly yours to control, and that trying to do so only leads to suffering. Think of the wind. It cannot be caught. It cannot be held. And yet, it touches everything, moves everything, changes everything. Love is the same. It is not something you own. It is not something you possess. It is something you experience, something you appreciate, something you allow to flow through you without trying to trap it. Ask yourself, what are you still holding on to? What thoughts, what fears, what expectations are keeping you from peace? And if you had the courage to release them, how much lighter would you feel? Most people wait for life to give them a reason to be happy. They think, I will be happy when I get the job, when I find love, when everything goes my way. But happiness is not something you find in the future. It is something you create in the present. It is something you choose. And the more you attach your happiness to things outside of yourself, the more fragile it becomes. Imagine being on a boat in the middle of the ocean. The waves are strong, the wind is wild, but you have an anchor. And because of that anchor, no matter how much the ocean moves, you remain steady. This anchor is your inner peace. It is the ability to remain calm in the midst of chaos, to trust even when things feel uncertain, to let go even when the mind wants to cling. The past is gone. The future is unknown. The only thing that truly exists is this moment, right now. And in this moment, you have a choice. You can hold on to the weight of things that no longer serve you, or you can set them down. You can cling to control, or you can trust the flow of life. You can suffer, or you can be free. So take a deep breath. Release the tension in your mind, the expectations in your heart. Let go of what was. Let go of what might be. Be here, now, because this moment is the only thing that is real. And the more you embrace it, the more you will realize that peace was never something you had to search for. It was always within you, waiting for you to let go. There comes a moment when you must ask yourself, how much of your suffering is real, and how much of it is simply a story you have been telling yourself? The mind has a way of holding on to pain long after the moment has passed, convincing you that you must keep replaying events, keep analyzing every detail, keep searching for meaning in things that no longer exist. But what if you let go of that story? What if, instead of carrying the past with you, you simply allowed yourself to be free? The problem is not what happened. The problem is the way you keep reliving it in your mind. Every time you think about the past, every time you revisit old wounds, you are choosing to suffer again. The event itself happened once, but the suffering, that is something you continue to create. And if suffering is created by the mind, that means peace can be created by the mind as well. Imagine a traveler walking through the desert, carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents a regret, a disappointment, a painful memory. The journey is exhausting, every step weighed down by the past. But the traveler has a choice. At any moment they can stop, open the backpack, and start letting go of the stones. And with each stone they release, the journey becomes lighter, easier. This is what letting go does. It does not erase the past, but it frees you from carrying its weight. Many people believe that if they stop thinking about their pain, they are somehow dishonoring it. That if they let go of what hurt them, they are saying it did not matter. But letting go is not about pretending something never happened. It is about deciding that you will no longer allow it to control you, that you will no longer let it steal your peace. The mind craves control. It wants to hold on to things, to analyze, to understand, to solve every problem. But not everything is meant to be figured out. Some things are simply meant to be released. The more you try to control, the more you suffer. The more you surrender, the more you find peace. Think of a river flowing toward the sea. It does not cling to the rocks in its path. It does not stop and try to push the water backward. It simply moves forward, adapting, adjusting, always flowing. This is how life was meant to be lived. Not in resistance, not in attachment, but in trust. Ask yourself, how much energy have you spent trying to control things that were never in your hands? How many hours have you lost worrying about things that never even happened? How many days have you spent stuck in the past instead of fully living in the present? Most people do not realize how much of their suffering is self-inflicted. They blame circumstances, they blame other people, they blame life itself. But the truth is, suffering does not come from the outside. It comes from within. It comes from the way we attach to things, the way we resist change, the way we hold on to pain instead of letting it pass through us. Imagine standing in the ocean, trying to stop the waves. You push against the water, trying to control it, trying to keep it still. But no matter how hard you try, the waves continue to come. The ocean does not care about your resistance. It moves as it always has. And the moment you stop fighting, the moment you allow the waves to flow as they were meant to, you realize that you were never drowning. You were just resisting. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting your emotions control you. It means you stop tying your happiness to things outside of yourself. It means you learn to love without clinging, to experience life without fearing loss, to trust that what is meant for you will always find its way. Think about the last time you were deeply happy. Was it when you were trying to control everything, trying to force things to go your way? Or was it when you simply allowed yourself to be? Happiness is not found in control. It is found in surrender, in trusting that life will unfold as it is meant to, whether you fight it or not. So why do you still hold on? Why do you still replay old conversations? Still cling to memories that no longer serve you? What would happen if, just for a moment, you loosened your grip? Imagine a candle flickering in the dark. The flame moves with the air, dancing, shifting, but never resisting. It does not fight against the wind. It moves with it. This is how peace is found, not in resisting life, but in flowing with it. Some people think that detachment means not caring, but it is the opposite. It means you care deeply, but you do not attach your peace to any outcome. It means you love fully, but you do not try to possess. It means you experience life completely without needing to control it. Ask yourself, what are you afraid will happen if you let go? What do you think you will lose? And what if, instead of losing, you gain something greater? Most people believe that they need to hold on to be safe, that if they stop worrying, they will lose control, that if they stop replaying the past, they will forget the lessons. But holding on does not bring security. It brings suffering. Worrying does not prevent the future. It only robs you of the present. And replaying the past does not change it. It only keeps you stuck in something that no longer exists. Think of a kite flying in the wind. If you pull too hard, if you try to control its every move, it will snap. But if you allow it to move freely, if you let it find its own path, it soars. This is how life is meant to be lived. Not in force, not in resistance, but in trust. Letting go is not weakness. It is strength. It is choosing peace over control, freedom over attachment, surrender over resistance. It is understanding that no matter what has happened before, you still have the power to create something new. The past is gone. The future is uncertain. The only thing that is real is this moment. And in this moment, you have a choice. You can hold on to the pain, the expectations, the fears, or you can release them and finally be free. Take a deep breath. Let go of what no longer serves you. Stop trying to control what was never meant to be controlled. Trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. And in that trust, you will find the peace that has been waiting for you all along. There comes a time when you must ask yourself, why do you still hold on? Why do you still carry the weight of things that no longer exist? Thoughts that do nothing but drain your energy? Memories that have already faded from everyone's mind but your own? What are you afraid will happen if you simply let go? The mind convinces you that holding on keeps you safe, that thinking about something over and over will somehow change it. But has it ever worked? Has overanalyzing ever brought you peace, or has it only created more suffering? The truth is, peace is not something you find. It is something you create. It is not something outside of you, waiting for you to reach it. It is within you, waiting for you to clear away everything that stands in its way. And what stands in its way? The need for control, the fear of uncertainty, the belief that if you stop thinking about the past, it means you have lost something. But what if, instead of losing, you gain something greater? What if, in releasing what no longer serves you, you make space for something new? Imagine holding on to a rope that is tied to a boat drifting out to sea. The boat is already moving, being pulled by the tide, yet you keep holding on, believing that if you grip tightly enough, you can pull it back. But all you are doing is tiring yourself out, causing your hands to bleed, creating suffering where there does not need to be any. The boat was meant to leave. It was never yours to keep. The only thing keeping you in pain is your refusal to let go. Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of all suffering. Not because love is bad, not because desire is wrong, but because clinging to things that are always changing will inevitably lead to pain. Everything in life is impermanent. People change, circumstances shift. The things you once relied on will not always be there. And the more you resist this truth, the more you suffer. The only way to be truly free is to accept impermanence, to embrace the fleeting nature of life, and to trust that even when something leaves, something new will come in its place. But how do you let go when your mind refuses to stop holding on? How do you move forward when every part of you wants to cling to what was? The answer is not found in force, not in trying to suppress your thoughts, but in shifting your perspective. Imagine watching leaves float down a river. You do not try to stop them. You do not reach out to grab them. You simply watch, allowing them to pass, knowing that more will come, knowing that none are meant to stay. This is how you must learn to see your thoughts, not as things that define you, not as things you must fight against, but as passing visitors. Some will bring peace, some will bring pain, but none are permanent. The reason most people struggle with letting go is because they believe their thoughts are reality. They mistake the voice in their head for truth. But thoughts are not facts. They are just stories, interpretations, fleeting moments of mental activity. You do not have to believe every thought that arises. You do not have to engage with every worry, every regret, every fear. You have the power to step back, to observe, to choose which thoughts you feed and which you allow to pass. Think about the last time you were completely at peace. Maybe it was a quiet morning before the world woke up. Maybe it was watching the sunset, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin. In those moments, what was different? The world had not changed. Your problems had not disappeared. The only thing that changed was your mind. You are not lost in thought, not stuck in the past or the future. You are simply present. This is the secret to peace. Not solving every problem, not figuring everything out, simply being here now. But the mind resists stillness. It thrives on movement, on distractions, on things to solve. It will tell you that you must think more, analyze more, worry more. It will convince you that letting go means losing control. But control is an illusion. No matter how much you plan, no matter how much you prepare, life will still unfold in ways you cannot predict. And the more you try to force it, the more exhausted you become. Think of a kite flying in the wind. If you hold onto the string too tightly, trying to control every movement, the string will snap. But if you allow the wind to guide it, if you let it move naturally, it soars. This is how life is meant to be lived, not in rigid control, but in trust, in surrender, in allowing things to unfold as they are meant to. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you forget. It simply means you stop allowing the past to control your present. It means you stop tying your happiness to things outside of yourself. It means you trust that even if something did not work out the way you wanted, it does not mean your story is over. Ask yourself, what are you still holding on to that is keeping you from peace? What thoughts, what expectations, what fears are keeping you trapped in a cycle of suffering? And if you had the courage to release them, how much lighter would you feel? Detachment is not about isolation. It is not about avoiding emotions. It is about experiencing life fully without being controlled by it. It is about loving without needing to possess, caring without needing to control, living without fearing loss. Think about a time when something you once feared turned out to be a blessing. Maybe a rejection led you to something better. Maybe a loss made space for something greater. What does that tell you? That life has a way of working out, even when you do not understand it at the time. That even when things do not go as planned, they often unfold exactly as they should. The more you trust, the more you will see that letting go does not mean losing. It means making space. It means opening yourself up to new possibilities, new experiences, new ways of seeing the world. Take a deep breath. Release the thoughts that no longer serve you. Stop fighting what you cannot control. Trust that everything is unfolding as it should. And in that trust, you will find the peace that has been waiting for you all along. There comes a moment when you must decide. Will you keep carrying the weight of everything that has hurt you? Or will you finally set it down? The mind clings to pain, not because it enjoys suffering, but because it believes that holding on is a form of control. It convinces you that if you keep replaying the past, you can somehow change it. That if you keep analyzing every word, every action, every moment, you will find a different ending. But the past is not a puzzle to be solved. It is a chapter that has already been written. And the longer you keep rereading it, the more you delay the next chapter from unfolding. The truth is, you are not suffering because of what happened. You are suffering because of the story you keep telling yourself about what happened. You are suffering because you are holding on to an idea of how things should have been, instead of accepting them as they are. You are suffering because you are resisting reality. But reality does not change because you resist it. The only thing that changes is your peace. Imagine a person trapped in a room with an open door. They sit there, frustrated, longing to leave, feeling imprisoned by their circumstances. But the door is open. They are free to walk away at any time. The only thing keeping them there is their own belief that they are trapped. This is how most people live. They believe they are bound to their pain, that they must carry their burdens forever. But freedom is always within reach. The only thing required is the willingness to step through the door. Buddhism teaches that attachment is the cause of all suffering. Not because wanting things is wrong, but because clinging to things that are constantly changing leads to inevitable pain. Life is impermanent. People change. Situations evolve. Nothing stays the same forever. And the more you resist this truth, the more you suffer. The more you fight against the natural flow of life, the more exhausted you become. Think of a river. It flows effortlessly, moving around obstacles, adapting to whatever lies in its path. It does not resist. It does not stop. It does not try to flow backward. But imagine if the river suddenly decided it wanted to stay in one place, that it wanted to hold on to every rock, that it refused to move forward. It would no longer be a river. It would become stagnant, lifeless. This is what happens when we hold on to things that are meant to pass. We stop flowing. We stop growing. We become stuck in a version of ourselves that no longer exists. But how do you let go when the pain feels so real? How do you move forward when your mind keeps pulling you back? The answer is not to fight your thoughts, not to force yourself to forget, but to see things clearly, to recognize that your suffering is not caused by the event itself, but by the meaning you have attached to it. Imagine holding onto a rope tied to a burning log. The fire is spreading, moving closer to you, and the longer you hold on, the more it burns. You have two choices. You can keep gripping the rope, letting the fire consume you, or you can let go. The moment you release it, the pain stops. The suffering ends. But many people do not let go. They hold on to their pain, believing that if they release it, they are somehow giving up, somehow losing something. But what are they losing really? Only suffering. Only unnecessary pain. The reason people struggle to let go is because they believe their pain is part of their identity. They believe that if they stop thinking about what hurt them, it means that it never mattered. But letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean the past did not shape you. It simply means you are choosing to stop allowing it to define you. It means you are choosing peace over suffering. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you stop loving. It means you love without possession. It means you care without needing control. It means you trust that what is meant for you will never require you to cling to it. Think about the last time you felt truly free. Was it when you were obsessing over something, trying to control every detail? Or was it when you surrendered, when you allowed yourself to simply be without expectation, without resistance? Freedom is not found in control. It is found in trust. In trusting that life will unfold as it is meant to, whether you worry about it or not. Most people wait for something external to give them peace. They believe that if they get the job, if they find the right relationship, if they achieve the perfect life, they will finally be happy. But happiness is not something you find. It is something you create. And the more you attach your happiness to things outside of yourself, the more fragile it becomes. Because what happens when those things disappear? What happens when people leave, when circumstances change? If your happiness is tied to something external, it will always be at risk. But if your peace comes from within, nothing can take it away. Imagine standing in a storm, the wind howling, the rain pouring down. Most people try to fight the storm, trying to stop the rain, trying to control the wind. But what if, instead of fighting, you simply stood there, allowing the storm to pass? Because that is the nature of all things. They pass. No feeling is permanent. No pain lasts forever. Everything is temporary, even suffering. So why do you hold on? Why do you still replay old conversations, still carry the weight of things that no longer serve you? What would happen if, just for a moment, you loosened your grip? Think of a bird resting on a branch. It does not cling to the branch in fear. It does not resist the wind. It trusts its wings. It knows that even if the branch breaks, it has the ability to fly. This is how you must live, not in fear of what might change, but in trust that you will always find your way. Letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of strength. It is choosing to set down the weight you were never meant to carry. It is realizing that peace is not something you must chase. It is something you allow. It is something that has always been within you, waiting for you to stop searching, stop resisting, stop holding on. The past is gone. The future is unknown. The only thing that truly exists is this moment. And in this moment, you have a choice. You can continue to carry the weight of everything that has happened, or you can set it down and walk forward, lighter, freer, at peace. Take a deep breath